Hey Nikki, thank you so much for coming over today. How are you doing?
Good, very good.
Awesome. Um, this position that you applied for is for the HR operations lead for the Americas.
Yes.
As you know, we've been setting up our shared service center, and you've had some experience in shared services before, and you've been part of this team before we're moving into this new model. Thank you for applying and wanting to take the risk of getting into a new position. Uh, Let me start this by asking, you've been with AbbVie for quite some time now. You've had experience in many divisions. What do you like about AbbVie?
So, about AbbVie is I really like the culture. I will say that that's the biggest positive for me. The culture is very collaborative, very open and transparent, and we're also kind of going against the status quo. We don't have to be afraid to have a new way of doing things.
That's really nice. It reflects so positively about our organization. That's great. Um, so you've been the HR operations lead for LATAM and JPAC, and you've been based out of the US. What are some of the challenges that you face in your current role?
So I will say one, time zone challenges can be an issue with JPAC. That was a little bit of an issue, but we made it work. I think culturally though, understanding the culture. So seeing how JPAC works versus LATAM, they're very very different cultures in those countries, and so I had to adapt. I got used to how JPAC works, and then I had to adapt as I moved on to Latin America. And so you have to do things differently. You have to um, represent your information in a different way, so that the group that you're working with will understand what you're trying to what you're trying to display to them. So, for instance, in JPAC, we had they're very much, you ask them to do something, they understand, they'll do it right away, and they'll get it done, and they're very, very good with timelines. Whereas with LATAM, it takes a little bit of following up, and you have to kind of explain what the benefit is a little bit more, give them a little bit of the background, and maybe have a push from some of their leaders where they will, then see the importance of what you're doing. I think also with JPAC and LATAM and working with different cultures, it was there was a little bit of having to have them get to know you, building relationships. That was challenging at first, but once the relationships are built, then it becomes quite simple.
That's great. What was your biggest challenge with JPAC? Can you give me an example?
Yes, so with JPAC, I will say that when I was supporting them, first we were trying to set up our service centers, and it was really getting to know their processes. Their processes are very different than what we have in the U.S. So getting to know how they do things in a smaller, employee population I had to learn about, how they do things in their countries. It's not set up exactly the same way. So that was the biggest challenge. And then I'll go back to also building the relationships. It took some time to build the relationships there.
That's great. So how did you build the bridge between the corporate office in Lake County and the affiliates in JPAC and LATAM?
So I will say that for JPAC, I was able to meet the people in person. I think the in-person meetings were great. I was traveling a lot at the time, and so I was able to meet the people and also visit some of the countries that are big in JPAC, and really get to know their leaders and things like that. So that in-person collaboration was good. LATAM was a little different since I didn't spend so much time in Latin America, but I did, was able to, set up some video conferences, things like that, so we can put faces to names. I think that always helps. And then when there were opportunities where either, somebody from LATAM was coming into the U.S. or I was going into Latin America, we were able to meet in person. I did then try to understand what are their challenges, what are they looking for from me, and then just have them understand that I'm there to help.
That's great. So moving on, like going to your current position, so it's going to be the HR operations lead for the Americas, which would be Latin America, US, and Puerto Rico. And since you've not you've been based out of US but supporting other countries, and the US Puerto Rico population is our biggest population for AbbVie. Uh, what are the challenges you think you're going to be facing supporting this population now?
So I think the volume, just the sheer volume, will be huge. So we have lots of employees. There will be lots of operational issues. Just that they'll just be multiplied because of the number of employees. But also, honestly, I have to learn the U.S., Puerto Rico, Latin America processes better. But U.S., Puerto Rico specifically, because I haven't spent so much time on the processes within, U.S., Puerto Rico. So that's going to be some learnings that I'll have to do. And then also being able to engage the employees, because when you have such a big population, how do you engage employees in a way that's helpful, that makes them want to, understand what you're doing, want to learn about HR Connect. And you can't be everywhere. You can't talk to each and every employee like you can in those smaller communities. So that will be, I think, a challenge. And then finally, it will be working across. There'll be just such a bigger organization. So being able to collaborate with the different employees across the organization, our different counterparts, different leads, different, all of the consultants and all of the specialists. The collaboration when we have such a big organization will be challenging.
And have you thought about how you would be able to address those challenges?
Yes. So I thought that I would make sure that I stay have constant contact with the leads across the operations and customer experience organizations. Make sure that I understand what they're doing. Make sure we understand each other's work. And then I thought that perhaps we can once in a while do larger team meetings, because it will be about 50 people in the organization. Larger team meetings to kind of do some, team building and things like that, so that each other, we can all make sure that we work with each other. And then I was going to also, I was going to push that the people in the operations organization could consistently talk to the others, have them do a little bit of cross-training, learning from each other, so that they can really understand how it goes from end to end, how the processes work from end to end. Even if they're not having to perform the process, they can have a deep understanding, so they're able to do their jobs better.
That's great. Do you have any questions for me?
Yes. So, what would your expectations be of me if I get this role?
So, as the operations lead for America, so you would be overseeing all the operations. That would be all the data management processes that come through through HR Connect to your organization. So you would be handling all those, making sure that the HR Connect knowledge is up to date, and work with the other operations lead across the globe, so that you all sync up and are staying in the same page, addressing issues the same way, learn from each other. And then there'll be 5 people reporting to this position, so you would have to manage all those 5 people. And as you know, in AbbVie, the ways we work is we develop people, so you would be doing that in addition to your HR operations role.
Okay. Yes. Yeah. And do you see the organization this, because this is new? Do you see it evolving in different ways? Do you see it changing as we go through?
Definitely. We've just finished launching for Japan and Singapore. And we've seen a lot of changes, ways to improve. But as we continue with the launches, we're going to be getting all the lessons learned. And then moving forward, we want to get it to the next stage, away from the implementation phase to the steady state. And there's going to be continuous improvement, and that's what we've been based on. Like, it's people, process, technology, and there should always be continuous improvement. So we keep moving forward and give our employees the best experience that we can.
Okay, yeah. Thank you very much. Those
Nikki,
are my questions.
Awesome. Thank you, Nikki. Thank you so much for taking the time to talk to me today. I'll get back to you soon.
Okay, thank you.
Bye.